podcast that brings you stories of artists and people on their journey, helping to guide, answer questions, and motivate you in life and the business. You already know who I am. It's Marcos Luis. I'm back, and I want to thank you guys all for 18 years of One Mic Night. We are celebrating, and we are celebrating, and we are celebrating. As you all know, this started out as an open mic 18 years ago. So shout out to Maritri Garrett, who I started the show around. And if you want to check her out, her music, she plays every night on Facebook. Go to her page, Maritri Garrett, and watch her do her thing. So please. And thank you. I also want to thank everybody who's come along. We're in season 5, who shared their journeys, who helped me document their lives, and hopefully inspired you and bring you some value and help you make it through the day. Today, I'm really, really excited. I can't stop smiling. My guest is a multifaceted artist. She is a star of stage, TV, voice acting. She does it all. Please welcome Heather Alicia Simms to One Mic Night. How you doing?
I am well. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Thank you for being here. Listen,
Yeah.
I have questions.
Hopefully I have
You
answers.
got the answers? That's what I hope.
Hopefully. Sometimes I do. If I don't, I'll say, I don't know.
That's all right. We'll make it up as we go. The first question is, who is Heather Alicia Simms?
Oh, well, see, I don't know. No, I am an actor. I am a teacher. I am a voiceover artist. I am a daughter, a sister, a cousin, an aunt. I am a gardener. Yeah, I'm trying to learn Spanish. I'm trying to be,
Mm.
so I hopefully am someone who is doing some good for the planet and for my community.
Somehow I think you are. Somehow I really think you are. Where did you grow up? Where are you from?
Well, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
Okay, yeah.
But my family is from Jamaica, and I'm the first person in my family born in this country on either side of my family. So I am first generation,
Mm.
So I wear that. I wear that with pride. Yeah.
With pride, there's a lot that goes with pride. How did you get started in acting, and how did your family receive that news?
Well, okay, so I say that I got started when I was 4 years old, right? But that's, just the thing that lit me up. When I was 4, my mom entered me in this, say this poem about being 4 years old and having 4 people in your family. And I did. And it was for our local, block association. We had a little talent show. And I remember seeing my little sister get up on the chair, and she applauded for me. And I was like, "Ah."
Wow.
And I think that lit something in me. But I didn't come out of my artist closet, to really say, you know what, this is something that I'm going to pursue until after college. Because, like I said, I grew up in a Jamaican family, an immigrant family. That wasn't something that I knew that I could do. No one came to the career fair and said, "Oh, this is how you become an actor," or "This is something that you can actually do." And so it felt really far away. And so after I graduated I went to Tufts University, and I majored in history and English. And after I graduated from there, my father was like, "So what are you going to do? You have to go get a master's in something." And I was just like, "I just got this degree." And he was like, "Oh, no. You got to get a
Uh-huh.
master's." And I was just like, "Well, I'll get a master's in theater." And he was like, "Okay, that's good because you can always teach." I was like, "But if I get a master's in theater, I don't want to teach. I want to be an actor." He was like, "That's fine. But if you ever needed to, you could teach."
The
And
ever
so,
loving Plan B.
the ever loving Plan B,
Hmm.
which you know, it, my father was right, but what was interesting was um, my father passed away in 2012, and in 2014 I started teaching. But I had, even before then, I was, working. I was a working actor. He saw me at, he'd come to some premieres and he was very proud of my acting career. But then I decided to start teaching and I truly enjoy it.
So you started teaching. What do you teach, or what did you teach?
Well, I teach at NYU. I teach an acting class, one acting class per semester at NYU to the undergrads. And, it's something that I do because it feels like I'm giving back to
Yes.
these students. I mean, at first I was a little terrified. It was a course that I took over from a friend of mine, and I was like, okay, wait, what do I teach? How do I teach? How do I do this thing? And then at some point I was like, well, I'm bound to know a little bit more than they do. And so, it became this thing where I really enjoyed engaging with the students because it made me understand what I do in a much more substantive way.
I
So it
love
made
that. I
me like
love that.
really interrogate what I do as an actor because sometimes I see some of the things that they do and I'm like, oh, don't do that. I do that, don't do
Right.
that,
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I'm like, oh, course correct, course correct. And then there are times when I'm just like, oh, that's spot on, And how do I get them to where I know they can go? It is it allowed me to really just be clearer about who I am and what I do as an artist.
I love this. So here's the thing. I think you're kind of like me in this way. You are an artist who is in love with artist. You're in love with the artistry. You're in love with the craft.
Yes,
So anything that has to do with that is passion fueled.
yes,
And especially if you can teach it, but you're also teaching and learning. It's a give and take.
yeah, yeah.
That's
You know,
amazing.
I get because I know people who are they say things like, "Oh, you're doing the acting thing," and I bristle at that. And I'm like, this is my career. This is my craft. I never say to a doctor, "Oh, you're doing that medicine thing." You know what I mean? Like it just feels
Right.
really
Yeah.
flippant for
Right.
no reason. And I I really I don't know. I think I take umbrage with people who just go, that they're in it for the money because of the way that we work. Sometimes money isn't the thing that's going to move you, you know? It's so often, and I think people are surprised at times at how little money there is in moments. When you see some big shiny things, you're like, oh my gosh, I saw you on this TV show. Yeah, 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 that was great. Yeah. And that show did not make you rich.
Guess what? Guess what? Mm-hmm.
It did
Yeah.
not.
Do you ever have that discussion with your students?
Yes, all the
Mhm.
time. Yeah. One of the things that I like to have my students understand is that you've got to love it. I can't tell someone to leave this business, and I won't tell anyone to join this business. It is such a personal decision. When someone says, I can't do this anymore, and when you know that they're talented or you know that they have something, I can't say to them, oh no, 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 don't give up, don't give up. I just have to ask them, okay, where are you right now? Because sometimes it is about, I need a break. Sometimes, and you have to put yourself, you have to put yourself first. What I do tell my students is I have them do this thing. I have them do a 3-year plan. And it's the hardest thing to do as an artist because you're like, well, I don't know what I'm going to be doing. No, you don't. But you know what's important to you. And so if you know that Christmas with your family is the most important thing, or Hanukkah, or whatever it is the most important thing, then you're going to have to figure out how to carve that time out in your schedule. And you may have to give up some jobs or say no to some things because this is what is going to get you through the rest of the year. You
Absolutely. You're
need that
talking about
vacation.
balance. You're talking
Yes.
about balancing your life with your passion and career and personal life.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you do it? How do you do it? Be- I know it's hard.
It's
It's really
hard.
hard. Yeah.
It's hard, but you know what? I have learned that saying no is a complete sentence. And I remember, I remember my manager called me. I think I was away. I was on vacation and I needed that time. And um, it called me and said, "Oh, there's an audition." And I quite frankly did not feel like I could audition at that point. I was like, I'm away, I'm doing this thing. I just need to and it was a TV show that I wanted to be on. And then I said no. I was just like, no. And they came back and said, "All right, you know what? We're just going to offer it to her." And I was like, "Oh."
Interesting.
So I got to the yes through my no. And it doesn't always
Interesting.
happen
Yeah, it doesn't
like
always
that,
happen, but
right?
yeah,
But it has happened to me a few times when I've just been like, no, no. And and it's a boundary that you have to put up sometimes because it is going to strengthen you. And I don't think that anything has ever passed me by that was for me.
I know
And
that's right.
you
I know
know,
that's right. I
that
know
is
that's
what
right.
is for you can't be un for you. Yes, it's
Right.
true.
Yeah. It's also, I don't even know how to say it. I've gotten to a point myself where I don't even like the audition process. I have managers who want to manage me just like you. I now only accept scripts for work that I believe in, scripts that are passionate for me. If I see the character and I believe in the work, then I'll do it. I'm just
Hmm.
at that point. I'm not seeking fame. I'm not seeking any of that. I'm seeking to do good work
Yeah.
and finding the balance for me there.
And here's the thing. I think that the people that I admire in this business aren't necessarily the biggest names.
Right.
You know, they're people that you may recognize and you may know their name, but then you walk 2 blocks and people be like, "Oh, you're that I've seen you somewhere." And I'm like, "Yes, this person is this incredible artist that I love and adore." But they're not necessarily a household name, and that's fine, because
Absolutely.
also interrogating that idea, why do you need to be? Like
Right.
what is that desire? I mean, and I think it is about mortality, right? When we think about if when people keep speaking our names, there's a certain level of immortality that's attached to that. And I think there's a strong desire in many of us to have our legacy, to keep going. But fame comes with its own struggles.
Sure does.
Yeah.
Absolutely does. Now, you've worked on stage in some iconic shows, Gems of the Ocean, A Raisin in the Sun, and most recently, Pearly Victorious.
Yeah.
Some of these roles are just roles that a lot of women wish they could play. How did you do it? How do you I know each one's different, but for your characters, what did you feel going into these roles?
Well, you know what? I will speak to the very last one, which was Pearly Victorious, which I miss that group of people, and I miss being on that stage. But I'm so proud of the work that we did. Um, it really begins with the text,
Mm,
and figuring out, you know, why is it, why did Kenny ask me to do this play? Why did Jeffrey Richards ask me to do this play? And I often have to figure out what that intersection is. And so I look at the text and I go, well, what can I bring to this world? And and also the group. So when working on Pearly, Kenny was Kenny is I've worked with Kenny a few times, but this was the first time that I was really directed by him. In the past, I understudied productions that he was working on. And Kenny is one of those directors who really attracts excellent talent, you know?
you better
And
believe it.
so,
I know his work
and
too.
that's not me patting myself on
Yeah,
the back.
no,
I'm talking about the company that I'm keeping. And
absolutely.
so,
You included, I'll say it, you included.
but but Kenny has a way of doing that. And so when you're in the room, you feel like you have the ability to fly. And so you have this text and you're figuring out, okay, what do I bring to this? And then you're looking around and you're seeing the people that you're working with and they're bringing their A game. And working on Pearly was one of those things where this is a 62-year-old play that had had productions, four professional productions done after it. And you have to say why. Because a lot of plays, if Racing in the Sun has been done millions of
Millions of
times.
times. Yeah.
August Wilson's canon has been done millions of times. Why hasn't Pearly? And
What, in your
looking
opinion,
at,
why hasn't it?
in my opinion, I think that on the page it could look dated.
Mm,
On the page, without the right touch, it could look and feel dated. And I think what Kenny did and what this cast did was to lift Ossie Davis's brilliant work off of the page and give it to an audience in 2023 and 2024 and say, hey, this is relevant. This is now. This is something that we need to continue to love on and interrogate and to give an offer to the rest of the world. And that's what we did.
you absolutely did. And can we just give people a brief synopsis of what it is for those people who don't know the work and who didn't see it? Shame on you. But you may have a chance in the future. We don't know. But
Yes.
give them a
Pearly
brief synopsis.
Victorious, a non-Confederate romp through the cotton patch is the
Hmm.
whole title, written by the late great Ossie Davis. And what it's about is about a young man, Pearly Victorious, who is a preacher, and he goes to reclaim his family land, and he brings back a young woman, Ludi Bell Gusty Mae Jenkins, to his family to chase a plot, of trying to get this land that is rightfully theirs,
Right.
and too often now we hear about people um, getting their land taken, through an eminent domain, or, just skullduggery.
Right. Yes.
Just straight up
Right.
skullduggery.
Exactly. You know? Absolutely. And it's something
Yeah,
that we think about and we should keep refreshed in our minds because
yeah.
this is not just one story. This happened to many.
Many,
And
many. And
shall
it's
we
still
not
happening.
forget?
Yeah.
That's
And
why this story is poignant.
exactly. And it's about family. And what will family do, when you're faced with these kinds of issues? Yeah.
Absolutely. And who did you play?
I played Missy,
Yes,
Aunt
you
Missy.
did. And you played the heck out of it. And I'd be
Ah,
remiss if I didn't say you were nominated for a Tony.
well, the show was
The show was
nominated.
nominated.
The show was
Yes, the
nominated
show was
for a
nominated.
Tony. Um, I didn't have an individual nomination, but I
But
was right
you were
there
right there in the, yeah, in the
in
mix.
the thick
That's
of
what I
it
mean.
with,
Yeah,
but our beautiful Kara Young and our brilliant, brilliant Leslie Odom Jr. and Kenny Leon, they had individual
individual
nominations. And
nominations.
our beautiful, brilliant Kara won that Tony, and I
Absolutely.
was able to witness it right there at the Tony Awards. We just had a great time because, she'd been nominated 3 times in a row, and that was the first time
That's a
anyone
first. Yeah.
had been nominated 3 consecutive times, and she won that Tony, and it was well deserved. But yeah, I played Missy, and Missy was, I believe, the heart of the play. She is Pearlie's sister-in-law, and she just wants him to come home, find a wife, and have some babies. And it's that thing where it's what I was speaking to earlier about, continuing life and immortality, and knowing that our line will be continued. And that was something that Missy wanted. And I'll say that, she's very successful in the things that she that she wants.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Are there any roles that you've had that have sort of changed your life perspective or the way you look at life in the world? Because you've
You
played
know,
some pretty, you've been in some great shows, some TV shows, and
I will say I did a play called Fairview. It was a few years ago, and Fairview was one of those plays that I had no idea what it was. I had no idea what it was about. And I would go to rehearsal every day, and I would ask everyone, the director, the playwright, what's this play about? I don't understand what this. I think they thought I was being funny. And I
uh,
was like, no, 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 I'm asking a serious question. What is this play about? And I don't think anyone had like real facility to put into words what the play was truly about, because I think it was something that could not hold, words that I could truly digest in that moment. We would talk around it, but it was one of the most impactful projects that I've been a part of. It ended up winning the Pulitzer that year. And it was something that when people came to see it, they either sat there in a puddle of tears, some people left angry, some people were like, I don't know what this play is about. But it was one of those plays that every single night I learned something new. Every
so
single night.
this was an original work. How do you begin to work on something like that? I mean, I love the fact that you can create or originate a character. So you have, full well, I don't even know the word I'm looking for, uh, creativity on creating a character, and as an ensemble, as people together, you create the world that this is happening in. I don't know specifically what it's about, but how do you begin to work on something like that?
I think that especially when you have the playwright in the room, um, you're using all of the resources. You're using your own sensibilities. You're using the text. You're asking the director, what is it that you're seeing from this, and how might it be different than, you know, how I may see it? And you're really talking to the playwright. And for me, I love when I'm in a room and I get to do table work. And so, because I was a history and English major as an undergrad, I love doing research. And so I'm constantly like looking for what where my in could be.
Mm,
And so for that work, it was very stylized. It was super stylized. Um, and like I said, for a very long time I was like, I don't know what this play is about. And even today, I don't know that I could give you, you know, a good like two lines about what that play was about. But it was impactful.
mm,
It was truly, truly one of those shows that I was very proud to be a part of. And so I think because this is the long version, I also started off doing a lot of new plays. I
mm.
started my career off doing a lot of new plays, and I love it. I love being able to put my stamp on something. I love being able to dig into what something could mean. I also did a play. It was called Des Moines, and I was playing this. And I think, was it a world premiere or was it a New York premiere? I can't remember, but it was only 2 or 3 years ago. But I kept asking, why is this Black woman in this play? Why am I in this play? Because I was the only Black person in the play.
Mhm.
And I was like, why is she here? And then I made a choice. And the director was like, you really think? And I was like, I absolutely think that this is why she's there. And it was something that she had never thought.
Right.
She was like, okay. And I think being able to be in the room and offer your perspective, and which is a new perspective, a fresh perspective, an unexpected one. You know,
Yeah.
that's what I offer.
And that's the beauty of it. And I think, that's what creates art is that the layers of things that happen. And then we as artists make those choices. And we're creating a whole world of things where these people and places exist. And then when people receive it, it's like, wow, maybe I
Yeah.
didn't think about that. Or, wow, that's something to think about, and they're seeing it in a whole different way. And they're
Mhm.
questioning their own beliefs. You know,
Yeah.
that's what art is.
Yeah.
And you create that.
Yeah. And that's the most exciting thing. Like after the show, being able to walk with your friends or even have conversations with audience members about what it is that they saw. I had a friend who came to see Fairview and she was like, girl, I just had to walk. I had to walk. I was like, really? She was like, yeah. And like she couldn't even stay afterwards. She was just like, I had to walk. And, we were able to have that conversation later about what it was that she saw.
That's
Yeah.
powerful. That's
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah.
people receiving what we're putting out in the world in different ways. That's
Absolutely.
powerful. Do you have
Absolutely.
a preference? Do you like working on stage more, or do you like working in film? Or I know they're two different mediums. People ask all the time, but do you have a preference?
You know what? I don't. I think my dream is that my TV and film work could truly, truly, truly subsidize my theater addiction. You know
Hmm.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it is such a joy to be able to get a new play and go, all right, well, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? And it's in the word play. I get to play.
That's
You know,
true. Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
get to play for a living. And but sometimes it's the money isn't, oh, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
the money is playing. And so and so I would love to be able to continue to say, all right, yeah, my voiceover work, my television work, film, it's going to subsidize my theater work, or that I can just say, all right, yeah, this Broadway money is coming, and it doesn't have to be as tight. You know, I will say this though.
Hmm. Let us know.
I will say this. Um, I remember seeing Cameron Manheim. I don't know if you know, she Cameron Manheim, um, on a TV show years ago, and someone said, "What advice do you have for young actors?" And she said, and I was like, I leaned in because I was, new. I was like, she's gonna tell us something. She was like, maintain good credit. I was like, what? And
What?
she was like, maintain good credit. And I was like, Cameron, that wasn't what I thought. But she was right. Because I will say that really understanding how your money is flowing
Hmm.
will allow you to do certain jobs with more ease than
Yes.
you would if you hadn't.
Yes.
And
Yes, ma'am.
so, yeah. And so when I say, and don't be afraid of work, right?
Right.
I've been on TV shows. I remember I was away in Canada doing a TV show, and people were like, "Oh, you're still teaching?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm still teaching. Why not?" You know, I'm on Broadway. You're still teaching? Yes, I'm still teaching.
Right.
I like teaching, but it's also, why not?
Why not? And I'm sure you have an end goal too. What's going to help you accomplish your end goal, whether it's to buy a home, to be able to retire and have money put away, to invest your money. And everybody that watches my show, they know I have a 9 to 5 job. That's fine. I do this. I'm an actor. I have a podcast. I host events. I do a lot of things. I got 10 jobs.
Right.
You
Hey,
right.
hey.
Right. So everybody knows. But because I have an end goal and I maintain my credit, you hit the nail right on the head. I maintain my credit. It allows me to accept the jobs when I get the scripts that aren't paying because they're not union or what have you. Shh, don't say that. You know what I mean? And I
Amen,
want to
amen,
do this,
amen.
right?
Yes.
That I
Yes.
can do them with ease because I have that money for a rainy day, or I can use
Exactly.
my credit card to buy my groceries or what have you, right? So
Exactly.
absolutely right. She's spot
Exactly.
on with that one.
Exactly. So, I don't even remember what the question was, but that's another thing that I say to young actors. Say, you've gotta figure out how are you going to make this more easeful? Because I don't believe in claiming struggling artists.
Right.
Oh, yeah, someone said to me, "Oh yeah, you're going to be the struggling artist, and I'm going to be your patron." I'm like, "Oh no, 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 no,
Don't do
no,
that. Don't do it. Don't do it.
no,
Don't do it.
no."
No. How do you think the business has changed over the years? Because I'm a man of a certain age and I know what the business is like now. It's actually a business. So, yeah. What's it been like for you?
Okay, so my students are undergrads and they'll ask me, should they go to grad school? And I say, you know what? I think you should give it a couple of years, see what your career looks like, But I feel like when casting people look around, they are definitely looking at people who went to some of these grad programs. So I think that when I went to grad school, um, my friend's aunt said, why are you going to grad school? And she's an actor. She was like, do you want to teach? And I was like, no, I want to act. And she was like, oh, and she looked at me with a little bit of suspicion. And I was like, no, I felt like that was something that I needed to do, my dad.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yep.
but so I think in that way, that's one change. Another thing is there's more work in New York for film and television than there was when I was starting out. And I tell younger actors this all the time. You don't even know. Before it was, are you going to go out to LA? Because
Yes.
that was the way
Hmm.
that you needed to go if you want to work in television. Now it's no, uh, stay in New York and
It's
have
here.
a very full career. You can go to Atlanta. I have friends who moved to Atlanta because, hey, that's where, they found more ease and they can work from there. But now what's great is if I have an audition, I'll just go into my room and close the door and call my friend on Zoom or FaceTime and say, hey, can you help me with this? So some things have gotten easier. There's some things that haven't changed, in terms of struggling for pay equity and transparency. I I know that in my group of friends, we are pretty transparent with each other, and we always have been. It's always been one of those things where if I had an audition for something and I thought my friend was right for it, I'm like, "Girl, did you go in for this? They casting for it."
Right. Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
for sure.
so yeah.
Yeah, that was always the vibe for me growing up coming to New York too. I came from Chicago, the Chicago market before this. I went to
Hmm.
Northwestern University and that's where I studied theater. And then I actually did my first professional show when I was at Northwestern
Oh
with the
wow,
great Lydia Diamond, who, you know,
Lydia.
Lydia? Yeah.
Yes.
So Lydia pulled me into this show that was already running, and we had a couple of Jeff Awards and so forth. But, you
Which
know,
show was it?
the show was called Pekong. It was
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
a Caribbean version of Medea.
yeah.
So I was one of the principal dancers.
Oh.
Yeah, well, who knew, right? Yeah, I was one of the principal dancers. So that was my first professional show. And
Okay.
then I came to New York, and just like you said, I had friends who were already here. So I came in modeling, but I was an actor also. So any kind of model call that was there, yeah, there's a call in such and such. So they would go. I didn't even have an agent at the time. Just come along. I would sign in under my friend's agency, and then
Mhm.
finally the client wanted me, so they called the agency, and that's how I got my agent.
Wow.
Right. So yeah,
Wow.
we helped each other. We
Yeah.
helped each other. Definitely the
Yeah.
transparency.
Absolutely.
What do you
Absolutely.
see the industry as now? A lot of people are giving certain moguls and writer directors flack about their work. Um, there's a particular movie that's on right now that got a lot of backlash. I thought it was a great film on Prime. He's a mogul that's in the Atlanta area,
Oh,
and
okay. Yeah, 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 yeah,
people
yeah. You
constantly
know
get.
what? Listen, I feel like I just did a project with that mogul.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
um, and I will say, you know what? Everybody has a right to their own opinion. I think that if there's something that you don't like, don't watch it. If there's something that you love, elevate it. And if there's something that you need to change, then be the change that you want to see,
Right. Yeah.
you know? And here's the thing. I remember people would get on August Wilson and say, you know what, you're not writing enough women characters. And
Hmm.
he's like, well, if that's what you want to see, then you write it, you know? And he was absolutely right. Like, why did we just, why would we put it on him to write something that he was like, you know what? That's not what I'm doing. I'm doing what I do,
Absolutely.
you know? And so there's the thing, like we can watch what we feel is going to feed us. And when we go, oh, you know what? I'm full. I don't need that anymore. Or, I'm a little allergic to that
Right.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then don't tune in.
Don't tune in. Change the channel.
Change the
Don't turn it
channel.
on. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so easy.
Yeah. And sometimes it's the same people who are watching, no shade, the Real Housewives of Atlanta, who want to bash him about what he's doing. Or, so you can't feed everybody. You can't.
Yeah,
You can't please everybody.
you can't. And the thing is, it's there's a lot of energy to bash somebody for their work. And one of the things that I will say is that room has been made, you know, room has been made. It's just because I have a niece. And her parents were pregnant with their youngest, and one of the things that she was concerned with was that her sibling was going to come along and take the love that she was getting. And I was like, that's not how love works. I was like, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, so that the more people are, the more people that there are, the more love that's expansive, it's
Oh
going to
my
grow.
gosh. That's
And
a beautiful way to explain it.
yeah, and I said to her, I said, no, no, no. I was like, the love gets bigger, you know? And she was like, she looked at me, she was a little skeptical, but I was just like, trust me, it gets bigger. And so we can be judgmental about the voices that we hear, but that voice is there. And that voice has made room for something else. So if you want to see something else, you know, offer it.
That's it.
Offer it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Create it. Make it happen yourself
Yeah.
and offer it to the world.
And offer it to the world. We're waiting,
We are.
I'm game.
I am too. What are you looking forward to for the future?
Oh my goodness.
That's kind of a general question, but yeah.
You know, I am looking forward to, I have some projects on the table that, I'm trying to figure out, am I interested? Am I, where do I meet this project? But I'm also looking forward to, I haven't figured that out yet, you know. I don't know if it's going to be the beach down the street or, in someplace sunny. I'm looking forward to producing a workshop of a friend's play. There are some plays and some voices that I feel need to be heard, and specifically from the Caribbean, because Caribbean countries are not represented on the American stage
You better
in
say
a
it.
way that I would love to see them represented. So I am looking forward to being in that conversation. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the tomatoes on my vine ripening.
That's right. You know that's right.
you
Yeah.
know, I'm looking forward to a picnic that I have planned with my family, my nieces and nephew. I Some of the things that are just so like every day. I'm looking forward to the everydayness of the days, and I'm looking forward to my next television show. Yeah. There have been some projects that I've been like, oh my gosh, I did this project that I had no idea what it was or what it could be. And I had the best time. And I had a great time listening to the audience, via social media talk about that project. Yeah.
I love that. I love all that. I love that you're present. I love that you are in the moment. I love that you're hopeful. I love your acting.
Oh,
I
thank you.
appreciate you. I appreciate you taking time to share your journey, to share your story, to enlighten the world with your gift. Thank you.
And I thank you for having this space,
Thank you.
to chat, because I love having these moments where I can just talk about, our craft and what we do, and hopefully take away some of the intrigue.
Absolutely.
People can do it,
And inspire people along the way. Tell everybody how they can get in touch with you.
Oh, well, I'm on Instagram. I'm on Instagram, BK Jam Child, or you can, search my name, Heather Alicia Simms. I'm on Twitter, but that's my, rantings about other things. But BK Jam Child, Instagram. Do
Instagram.
that.
There you go. Everybody, Heather Alicia Simms, thank you for spending some time here at One Mic Night. We appreciate you, and best of luck going forward. Please come back anytime.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. All right, everybody, you know the show. It's One Mic Night, ONEMICNITE. You can slide into my DMs at Marcos Luis, MARCOSLUIS. Thank you for 18 years. And also make sure you check the notes. All of her links will be there. Make sure you get your One Mic Night mugs and t-shirts. The link is down on the bottom. Thank you for joining me. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.